Tariffs against China. Peter Alexander has late details.
Tonight at two of America's busiest ports, Los Angeles and Long Beach, the president's trade war is already hitting hard. The number of ships set to arrive with imports from China in the first full week of May, now expected to be down 44% from last year. Still, the market surged again today, the Dow up more than 400 points, after President Trump signaled a potential thaw in the turmoil over tariffs and optimism about new trade deals that he says will level the playing field for American companies and bring back manufacturing jobs.
We are going to have a fair deal with China. It's going to be fair.
He was pressed late tonight.
How soon do you want to bring?
Been ripped off by every country in the world practically, and friend and foe. And we're not doing that anymore. So.
The president today telling NBC News the U.S. is in active talks with China. But just minutes earlier, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said those talks have not yet begun. Amid confusion over the president's long-term tariff plans and following a Monday meeting where the CEOs of Target, Walmart, and Home Depot personally lobbied the president, President Trump appeared to soften his stance, saying his tariffs on Chinese imports will come down.
145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero. It used to be zero.
But tonight, the White House says that will only happen through negotiations.
There will be no unilateral reduction in tariffs against China.
All of it as Elon Musk revealed his time at the president's Department of Government Efficiency will, quote, drop significantly next month as he refocuses attention on Tesla, that's seen its stock plunge more than 40% and been the target of violence and vandalism.
There's been some blowback for the time that I've been spending in government with the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. I think the work that we're doing there is actually very important for trying to rein in the insane deficit.
Peter, you have new reporting tonight about more friction between Musk and members of the president's cabinet.
Lester, this latest episode, a shouting match last week here in the West Wing between Elon Musk and the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent over leadership at the IRS, confirmed to NBC News by two senior officials here. The White House tonight responding that President Trump put together, in their words, a passionate team of people who they say sometimes disagree. Lester.
Peter Alexander at the White House tonight. Thank you. Meanwhile, the Trump administration continues its push to reshape higher education, with President Trump signing an executive order making changes to the university accreditation bodies, and another calling for a review of colleges' financial ties with foreign donors. It comes as the Harvard University president is speaking out for the first time since the school sued the federal government. Did you have to take a deep breath before you agreed to file a lawsuit? That's a big step, especially given who you're suing.
It is a big step, and it was more than one deep breath.
That was a tough one.
It was tough.
Harvard President Alan Gerber on campus today, reflecting on the university's showdown with the Trump administration over its demands that the school accept government-ordered changes. Harvard accusing the administration of illegally withholding $2.2 billion in federal funding as a form of leverage. Among the list of the federal government demands, eliminate DEI programs, make broad changes to admissions and hiring practices. At the center of it all, allegations anti-Semitism on campus went unchecked. Is this really about anti-Semitism?
I would say that at Harvard, we have a real problem with anti-Semitism. We take it very seriously, and we're trying to address it. There's no doubt about the severity of that problem. We don't really see the relationship to research funding at Harvard and other universities. They are two different issues.
Garber said he had no choice but to fight back against what he believes is government overreach.
What they are indicating is that they want to directly review who we hire on our faculty. That has implications for what kinds of views can be expressed on campus. They also want to be able to tell us who we need to fire. And they also want to intervene in our admissions processes. That is what we are objecting to.
You're taking on the most powerful man in the world.
We are defending what I believe is one of the most important linchpins of the American economy and way of life, our universities.
How much pain can Harvard absorb here?
We don't know how much we can actually absorb, but what we do know is that we cannot compromise on basic principles like defense of our First Amendment rights.
Is this bigger than Harvard at this point?
Of course it's bigger than Harvard because we look at what's at risk here. And what's at risk is the excellence of higher education in the United States, and in particular, the research mission of many of our universities, which play such a vital role in the U.S. economy and in the health and well-being of the American people.
One of Harvard's programs at risk due to the funding freeze is tuberculosis research. If the funding were to be suddenly turned on, how quickly could you get back to your work?
It's a hard question because today we could start relatively quickly. 10 days from now, as the network unravels, the damage becomes irrevocable.
Is this a fight you can win?
I don't know the answer to this question, but the stakes are so high that we have no choice.
In a statement, the White House criticized Garber's comments and said, quote, President Trump is standing up for every student denied an education or safe campus because left-wing universities fail to protect their civil rights. Thousands were forced to flee after a